Alright, boys and girls, this is the second half of chapter 4-5. We learned two things. We learned about the y and x intercept, and we learned how to graph an equation. So, first thing is the y-intercept. Right here are four different lines, and I went ahead and highlighted where the y-intercept is, which is where the line hits the y-axis. Now remember, if you look at my pointer, this is the x-intercept. This is where it hits the x-axis, but we're only interested right now in where it hits the y-axis. And that, of course, is called the y-intercept. Now, if you notice, where the line hits the y-axis, there's something that is the same, or very similar in all of them, if you analyze it. For instance, this point right here is 0, 1, negative 2. This point right here is 0, 0. This point right here is 0, 1. And this point right here is 0, 1, 2, 3. Well, what you're going to notice is that in every single time where the line hits the y-axis, x happens to be 0. So that tells us a really easy way to figure out, when I have an equation, what's the y-intercept? Well, if I know, let's look back, every time the y-intercept x happens to be 0, well, I could just plug it in. Here's an equation. If I want to know the y-intercept, all I have to do is write my equation over, but instead of writing an x, I'm just going to make it 0, because I know x would be 0. If I solve it, 3y equals 6 times 0 is 0 minus 2, so 3y is equal to negative 2, and then divide by 3 so I can solve for y, I end up getting y equals a negative 2/3. Well, that's my y-intercept. So the point where my line hits the y-axis, this is my grid, would be at 0, comma, negative 2/3. And the point would be like this. The x is 0, the y is negative 2/3. And that would be my y-intercept. Same thing goes for my x-intercept. Right here, it's where, this is my x-axis. So the x-intercept would be where, there are two lines here, and they have two different x-intercepts. So where the line hits the x-axis, this would be my x-intercept of that line, that would be my x-intercept of that line. So what you're going to notice, for instance, this point is 1, 2, 3, comma 0. This point is negative 2, comma 0. So just like you're going to notice something is that when the line hits the x-axis, y is always 0. So if I want to find the x-intercept, I'm going to take this equation, and I'm just going to make y 0 and solve for x. Seven equals x, which means that the x-intercept is 7 for this particular equation. Remember, this has nothing to do with these graphs. This is just a separate equation. But I know that in this equation, this line, I know it's a line because it could be written in standard form, but the x-intercept would be 7, so the line, the point where it would hit would be 7, comma 0, because x is 7, y is 0. This makes it very, very simple to graph from the intercepts, because let's just pretend for a second that we have a graph. Here's my x-axis, here's my y-axis. And then I have an equation. Here's my equation. Well, what we can do is we can find the x and y intercept of that graph. First of all, let's find the x-intercept. The x-intercept, remember, means y is 0. So 6 times x means, instead of plus 3y, I'm going to make it 3, 0. It's equal to 18. And then I'm going to solve this. So 6x, this is going to equal 0, is equal to 18. I divide both sides by 6, and therefore x equals 3. So the x-intercept is 3, comma 0. Now let's do the y-intercept. Yeah, right here. The y-intercept would be when x is 0. So 6 times 0, use the same equation, plus 3y is equal to 18. that'd be 3y equals 18, which means I divide by 3 on both sides, and I get y equals 6. So the y-intercept would be 0, 6, because x is 0, y is 6. Well, now watch how easy it is to graph. If I graph this point and graph this point, 3, 0 is right here, 0, 6 would be right here. Well then, since I have 2 points, I'm able to draw a line with a ruler through them, and this line, which I'll make in orange, actually let's go ahead and highlight it in yellow so you can really see it. This line right here is the line that you get from this particular equation. And I know that because I was able to find this intercept and this intercept. And when you have 2 points, you're really able to graph them.